Hi everyone, this is Tuplex. Welcome back. I've been playing around with trying to get an unloading station for the fluid wagon depot. Something that would empty whatever fluid was in there, and by using some circuit control, get those fluids sent to appropriate storage tanks over here. And I had a lot of trouble doing it. At first, what I did is I had something like this set up. So essentially I would have it so the trains would unload. You know, if there was any leftover fluid, it would unload into this tank. And then I had a series of 4 pumps there. And then these were set to run. So this one would be enabled if crude oil was greater than 0. This one would be enabled if petroleum was greater than 0, if acid was greater than 0, or if lubricant was greater than 0. Okay. The problem I ran into is that the fluids will eventually, as the fluids are coming out of the tank, especially when they have to go through a pipe before the pump, having a pump attached directly to a pipe is very fast. But if it has to go from a tank to a pipe to a pump, it slows down the fluid transfer rate by quite a bit. And let me get rid of this flashing thing. And it also, because essentially the fluid has to flow from the tank into the pipe and then from the pipe into the pump. And it's slow because the tank, well, here, I can show you. Let's stop talking about it and let's just do a demonstration here. All right, so I'm gonna fill up this tank with water. And of course now I'm out of tanks. I just need one more. There we go. All right, so 1, 2. All right, so we've got, that should be enough. We've got about 20,000. All right, so if I put a pump here, it's going to be very quick because we're going from tank to pump to tank. Right, and it's practically instantaneous. And then I can reverse it, send it back the other way. Very, very quick. All right. Now, as soon as I put a pipe there, watch how much slower it goes. See, that's a lot slower. And the other thing that you see is that it gets slower and slower as the level of fluid in the tank decreases. Because when you go from a tank that holds 25,000 to a pipe that holds 100, if your tank is 100% full, you get 100% pressure and 100% flow rate. If your tank is 50% full, you only get 50% pressure and 50% flow rate. So as the tank empties, the flow rate gets less and less, and you can see that last liter or kilogram of water or whatever it is takes forever. Okay? So the problem we get then is that, well, hang on. Okay. Let's put the pump first. All right. So you have a couple problems. Let me do the main problem first. All right. So I'm going to tell this to enable if water is greater than 0 in this tank. Okay, which it is. So the thing's turned on. All right. So it's going to start to pump away. And I have to have a pipe because the only way for me to connect 4 pumps to one tank would be to have, pumps pointing in 2 different directions, which is not really feasible because I need at least 2 tanks at each slot so that I can unload both fluid wagons at the same time. So you could do that, but it's not really space efficient. Okay, so now watch what happens to this pump as this thing approaches 0. All right, there's 3, 2, 1, and then as it drops below 1, as soon as it goes below 1, it rounds it down to 0 on the circuit network, and the pump shuts off, and I still have water in the tank. Okay, so the net result is that I can never get this tank to be completely empty, and then if a train comes that has some other fluid in it, it's not going to work. It won't unload because there's already going to be another fluid in there. All right, so that's the problem with that system. Now, I did find a way to get around it. If you remember the SR latch that we did for our nuclear fuel insertion, I did an experiment where I had the pump set up with an SR latch, so that as soon as there was any fluid in there, it would turn the latch on, and then the latch would control the pumps. And then even when this dropped below 0, the state of the latch would stay turned on. And even after it was empty, it would stay turned on. So my idea was we could do that. And then when the train leaves the station, have the train signal send the reset. And you could do that. So let's say I just want to get a green signal here. You could connect a wire, right, to something, and you could tell this to read the signal, and then it'll output, right? So I could set it so that if it was red, that would reset the latch. That was kind of my idea. The problem is, though, is that even if this pump is active and these other 2 pumps are turned off, once water gets in this pipe, the pumps get like a little bit of a microscopic amount of water in them, even if they're turned off. Okay, so these pumps are turned off right now. But if I connect that, even though they stay turned off, you can see that they get a little bit of water inside them. Just by removing that pipe, they got a little bit of water. So anyway, so I tried that experiment with the latch, and it didn't work because the pump had like 0.0 water in it. And when I introduced a different fluid into the tank, it didn't work. Okay, so the ultimate conclusion here is that there's no way to do that, to do like an intelligent unloading station in the base game by having multiple pumps going off of the same pipe. I mean, maybe there's a way, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to work. So I downloaded a mod that's called Inventory Sensor. An inventory sensor is actually a companion mod to LTN, but I hadn't really used it. All right, so you get inventory sensor, and that gives you this item detection research. And then you get this little thing called an inventory sensor. It looks like a constant combinator. And what you have to do is when you place it down, it has to be facing the track, like the terminals away from the track. And you place it down, and it'll give you a readout on what is in that particular train, or in this case, wagon. So whatever's in front of it, it'll give you a readout on what's inside. So with this, we can set this up. So here I'm doing an example with steam and water. So now if steam is greater than 0, this pump turns on, it goes into a tank. If water is greater than 0, it goes into this other tank. Right, so this way we could handle 4 fluids just by having, we could have 4 pumps on each side, and then, you know, we would have to have, let me pick that up. You know, and then we could have some pipes like this so that only one pump on the car would activate depending on its contents, and then there would be a dedicated pump and pipeline and storage tanks to each type of fluid that we're dealing with. All right, so we can see this in action here. So again, it's just water greater than 0 or steam greater than 0. And I just set this up as a little test case. So if we put a little bit of water in here, for example. All right, that's enough. That's almost 3,000. All right, and then I'm going to go to the station. That thing reads water. The water pump turns on. It goes into the tank. And now it's empty. The pump shuts off. All right, and now if I come in with steam, I always have trouble finding pumps in my inventory. All right, so now we got some steam in here. Let's go back to the station. Now this one will turn on. Boom. And it goes into its tank. So this works really nicely. To be honest, this is probably, what was I going to say? I mean, okay, let me try something else because I just had another thought now that I hadn't thought of before, and that is to read train contents. So let's put a little bit of water in there again. So what if I did that? What if I connected this to the station and tell this to read train contents? Let's see if that would work. So maybe I don't need this mod after all. Yeah, there we go. Huh. Okay, so I guess I don't really even need the inventory sensor. I can just read the contents of the train directly from the train station. Okay. So that's good. So I'm glad I got that figured out, and I will be implementing that over there in the depot when I have some spare time. I won't do that on camera because it's going to be... Well, maybe I will do it on camera. I won't do it now, though. We'll do that later. I suppose some of you might like to see that. It won't be totally boring figuring out how to route the pipes and the pumps and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm making lots of copper plate. We can see that the extra... Was it extra copper? I remember in copper or iron, I had a lot of extra plates, and I don't remember. Maybe it was the iron that had a lot of extra plates. Okay. Well, in any case, all the extra plates have been consumed. Because when you lock slots on the silos or any other chest, you can still remove items from them. You just can't add to it. So if you have items in a locked slot, you can take them out. You just can't put anything into those locked slots. There was a comment on that a little while ago. Okay, so back to red circuits. I've put in a copper station. Now, I do want to balance coming out of here, and the issue I had was fitting in an 8x8 balancer. In such a way that there would be enough room here, because there wasn't enough room to get all the belts to come up to the center so that this 8/8 balancer was pointing up. So now I've got this unattractive situation where they would have to come in from the side, and I'm not terribly thrilled about that. I would rather have the belts running along the bottom and then going up. So I think, one way I could get around that would be, I don't know, maybe I could bring the belts down here and then go up in the middle here, and that way I could put the balancer like right here someplace. But even that is going to be, I think that's going to be too close. Because worst case, we're going to have beacons coming all the way down to here. So there's really not enough room to do it that way. Now, the alternative would be just not to balance the silos. But I'm not thrilled about doing that because then, like, you know, now I'm going to hook up only 4 of the silos to begin with, and when those are empty, it's going to bring in more plate, and eventually these other silos will fill up, and these will never be able to get full. So it'll just be a mess. So I think this is the only way to do it, unless we were to change it to robots. But I didn't want to do robots unless it was something that really, really cried out for robots, which is not the case here. Okay, so we'll do it this way. All right, so these 2 stations, I should say, are going to be for green circuits and plastic, right? Because we're loading plastic into a 141, and we're loading green circuits into 141s. So we can have 2 separate circuits. Now, I am... What? Okay. Why are you telling me? I'm trying to move this closer, and it's telling me that it can't do it. All right, so here's what I want to do. I am changing... Yeah, all right. We'll come back and fix that in a second. I'm changing so that we're going to be using inserters, stack inserters, rather than loaders to unload the trains. I think it's just as fast or faster and a more efficient use of resources. Okay, so I've got 6 inserters on each. The 2 on the end I modified to work at an angle so that all 6 inserters can feed into the silos at the same time. Because this uses a lot less resources than trying to set it up with multiple sorry, I can't talk and work at the same time. Mini loaders. Multiple mini loaders. Okay, so these are all connected to each other, but we then need to connect there, and that goes there, right? And we need to do the same down here. Okay, so we'll call this one red circuits, green circuits. I'll just say GC to keep it short. All right, so this one will be to bring in the green circuits. So as usual, I'm going to limit this to 1 train. I'm going to put a very high provide threshold. I'm going to set maximum train length to 6 so that we only get the small trains. Actually, I don't think I need to do that because I have that set on the supply side, right? I think I only need to do it on one end. So I'll try to leave that off here just to simplify things. All right, 1 train, and then let's see, green circuits, stack, how big? Well, we can check that here. 200. Okay, there's 40 slots per wagon. Times 200, so that's 8,000. So one train is going to be 32,000 circuits. Or no, actually, yeah, I want to set that to 2 trains worth, 64,000. And then I'll set the request threshold for 32,000. Okay, so we'll, as usual, we'll store 2 train loads and make our requests 1 train load at a time. Okay, and then we hook this up, and that should kick things off. No station supplying circuits found. That's strange. I must not have connected these. That's interesting. All right, let's fix that. There we go. It's a rather important step that I missed there. Okay, and then we'll set up our Nixie tubes. So I want it right there? Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's get it from there. And that'll be green circuits. All right, so I'll copy that. Since we're going to do similar settings up here. Do I have any more combinators? No, I don't. All right, let's make a few. So this is going to be red circuits, plastic. Now in the case of plastic, I think they stack in 100, right? So here we're going to just have half the quantities. So we're going to request 32,000 and set our threshold to 16,000. There we go. All right, let's see how our train over here is doing. It's filling up slowly. Yeah, we're not exactly burning things up in production here. I'm going to need to put balancers over on these belts and these belts. Otherwise, those things are going to get all out of whack. Oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? Jeez, what a mess. This is really bad the way that I've done this. This is going to cause nothing but problems. Because we're going to have exactly the problem I was discussing a little while ago. Right? See, now these two silos are emptying out while these other ones are all full. It's going to bring more stuff in. These are going to eventually fill up. They won't be able to unload. I'm going to end up with a bunch of copper plates in the depot, and it's going to be a bloody disaster. Okay, so what I need to do first, I need to just cut off the flow of material before this problem gets any worse than it already is. Okay, and then what I can do is I can, even if I have one belt from each of these going here and one belt from each going to the one on top, they're still not going to be balanced. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tear this whole thing up. And I don't think I have, well, I certainly don't have room for a 16 by 16 balancer down here. So what am I gonna do? How much copper does that need? 6. Well, yeah, and once we get, all right. I think you can sense a little bit of my frustration here. All right, so if I've got 4 of these, and if that's loaded with modules, and lots of speed modules, I'm going to need 132. That's also going to be loaded with modules. Okay. All right. Yeah, so once... This doesn't make any sense. So once this is all completely moduled out, I'm essentially going to need... Right. Yeah, so I'm only going to have 4. All right, so let's get rid of that. All right, so with 4 of these, that's 44 copper plate per second, which is a little bit more than you can do with 1 blue belt. So this whole thing from the beginning is not going to work properly. Because even when I upgrade it to blue belt, it's still not going to feed copper fast enough for it to run full time. Why didn't I know that before? Okay, well, I'm going to have to redesign this area. So one thing that would help would be if we only do 1 station instead of 2. 1 output station instead of 2. So I think we'll start by making that change. All right, so I'm going to shut these lines off. And these have already starved. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, and then we can turn that off as well. Turn this off. Okay, so I'm going to have a lot of work to do. I'm going to have to redesign the whole green circuit area. All right, well, let's see how we're doing over here. I still don't have any plastic. Am I making plastic? I thought I was. Yeah, I am making plastic. Where is it going? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I can see I can see a big problem there too. All right, let's go fix that problem. Where's my plane? Down there. Okay, so I'm going to have to fix that. That'll be much easier to fix than this, though, fortunately. Jiminy Christmas. All right, so let me get this thing away from the station here. All right. Yeah. Give me all that plastic. You guys don't deserve all that plastic. And of course now I can't. And yes, of course. Of course that would happen. Okay, let's put that back. All right, and then I've got to remove the limits on those so I can put stuff inside, and then do that. And then do that. Okay, and then we should be back to all having the same quantity. Why do these have... Oh, because they were filling in as they were unloading, right? All right, so I want 8,000 in each. Do I have any more silos? No. Okay. So we'll use a few chests. All right. All right, so now I can evenly distribute to the 4. All right, let's get rid of that stuff. Oh God, no. It's sending another train over here to pick up the bloody plastic. Where is it? Don't even think about it. Well, at least it's the right size this time. At least we got that going for us. Okay, what's this called? Logistic Train Stop Plastic 1. Good. Get rid of that. So hopefully that cancels the order from the system. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? I was redistributing this stuff. I don't think I would be having these problems if I was just doing vanilla train stations. Oh, okay. Yeah, we gotta unlimit that one too. And now they're uneven again. All right, back you go. All right, let's try this again. I mean, it's not critical that they're all exactly the same contents, but it would be nice if they were the same. Okay, great. Okay, now we can tell these trains to get lost. All right, so you go back to cargo if you can. Great. And then I can back this guy up a bit. And we'll send him back to cargo as well. We'll have to go and turn around somewhere. Okay. So now let's limit these again to, I think it was 8,000 each, or 8 slots. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Great. And then I can reconnect these, and they won't accept anymore. Okay. Now let's finish setting up this station properly. All right, 1 train at a time. Maximum train length is 6. That's what we needed to set. I think that's all that we need to set. Okay, and now that to there. All right. Now, hopefully, yes. Okay, so it's dispatching a train of the correct size now. And we should be in good shape. There we go. All right, yeah, so you can see that it's emptying out the locked slots. Those will get locked first since they're on the top, as it were. And then once it gets below the locked slots, then the silos will start to allow more material to flow in, which we'll be able to see here in just a moment. There we go. Okay. And while we're here, let's go ahead and add a couple more inserters. So that one needs to pick up from there. And that one needs to pick up from there. And actually, there's a change that I've been meaning to make. Interface, show inserter arrows in alt mode. So that way you can see where your inserters are pointed without having to hover over them. It does make things a little bit uglier, I suppose, but I'll try using it for a while and see if it grows on me. Okay. All right. Awesome. So now we got plastic, and that train just finished delivering its schedule, so now we can send another train because it's only 1 train at a time, right? Yeah, so as soon as 1 train finishes, it'll go and do that. Now remember that the default settings for LTN are, with the default settings of LTN, the train will normally only complete its schedule when it gets back to the depot. So if that were the case, it wouldn't send a second train out until the first train got back to the depot. But I did change that behavior by modifying the options. So now as soon as it completes the delivery, it'll send another train. There we go. Okay, so now we're using up some plastic. Good. Okay, and then we need to put our mixie tubes here. And that's for plastic bars. Awesome. Beautiful. How did I get that odd number? Oh, okay. Probably. Well, no. Yeah, that's weird. I'm not sure how I ended up with that odd number of circuits. Did I get these wrong? 64 and 32. No, that's right. I don't remember taking any out. Okay, well, I guess there was a train that didn't get filled. Maybe it was taking too long to fill up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it because over here we're still using the mini loaders. While we're redoing this station, I think I will. I think I'll change this over to use inserters instead. Because with these mini loaders, it's slow, so it probably hit the 120-second limit before the train was full, and that's why we don't have 64,000 like we would expect. But that's okay. And actually, I don't need to limit these chests or these silos because we're controlling our quantities there. So let me remove those limits there. Okay. All right. So for the next episode, I should say, I will have redesigned the green circuit station to something that doesn't require 100,000 belts. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cut this down to one output per silo. So we'll have 8 columns, and that'll be it. Yeah, so it'll essentially just be like one of these. I'll have to remove the other one. It's just too unwieldy and too crowded otherwise. And that's fine. I don't mind having lots of extra space in these grid sections necessarily. That'll just space things out more, make the base bigger, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So yeah, so I'll just cut this down by half. Maybe I'll just leave this one up here. I'll get rid of this one and remove all the extra belts and stuff. And I'll upgrade these to blue belts while I'm at it. So I'll be doing that while you guys are enjoying yourselves watching stuff on YouTube. All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.